this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
At Lowe's, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, install, and more when you spend $2,500 on select major appliances. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Visit your nearby Lowe's on East 17th Avenue in Hutchinson.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This Sunday, iHeartRadio brings you live to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. It's the ultimate pregame party, featuring an exclusive performance from Teddy Swims. Your front row experience will be on iHeartRadio stations across the country and the free iHeartRadio app this Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Then, after the concert, tune in to the Super Bowl 60 pregame show on NBC.
Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. And if you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan.
We normally start off Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan telling a story and setting up the topic, but today is going to be different. Today we're going to talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Moments after Charlie was shot, Joe and I were called to go on the air live and talk about what was happening. When we started broadcasting, Charlie was still alive, and he was on the way to the hospital when Joe and I got in front of the camera. When Charlie Kirk was shot, because a lot of us did see it before it was blurred, I'm still shocked, amazed, and saddened that we saw this, because normally we don't. Normally it's, as it is now, if you actually find a version of it online, it's going to be blurred. What did you see in terms of the shot hitting Charlie Kirk?
Well, from my perspective, when I was watching it, I watched one that was sent to me that was kind of enhanced a bit, and the shot was tighter. These physiological responses that you see as he is struck, and part of it also, I think that many people that follow true crime and that hear us talk about these sorts of things, they don't appreciate the horror many times that's involved in an event like this, how shocking it is, not obviously, obviously to the victim, but also those that are surrounding him. In this particular case, if you go to the left of the midline of the neck, this is where literally the entrance is, right up above the collar line, it appeared to me. You've got just copious amount of blood that immediately begins to issue forth from him. It's been speculated, and I include myself in that group, that there's high probability that it nicked probably the jugular as well as perhaps the carotid, given the amount of blood. Remember, these are blood supplies and returns for the brain, and the brain is the most vascular organ in the body. It requires a lot to function.
Would Charlie Kirk have been aware of what was going on after that shot?
That's hard to say. That's almost an unanswerable question. I do know this, that if you have seen this image, he draws. You can see him drawing his right hand up, and the thumb appears to be clutched. This is a neuromuscular response to neurotrauma. You'll see it with the brain stem, and as well as the spinal cord. All you got to do is watch a football game, and you'll see people that get their bell rung. They'll fall to the ground, and it almost looks like a seizure. And then, of course, he topples over to his left and begins to bleed out there. I think there's a high probability that death was probably pretty quick at this point in time. I talked to Nancy the other day, and I said that, even if you'd had a group of vascular surgeons standing right there with him, this is so traumatic that I think that it probably would have been unsurvivable based upon what I've seen over the years in the morgues and at scenes and that sort of thing.
I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
One of the interesting images that has emerged from the inspection of that alleged sniper's nest, if we can call it that, is that surface is on the roof is actually a gravel surface. And there's an image that has been released of evidence markers around an area that is literally impressed into that gravel surface that gives you the impression when you see it that someone had laid there for a protracted period of time. Yeah.
Now, okay, on the top of a roof, oftentimes we have tar and other things like that. Would that gravel, making it a kind of uneven surface, would that create a problem for somebody that is laying down to get the shot?
I wouldn't necessarily think so, particularly if they had any knowledge of the weapon system that they're actually using. And we don't know all of the details yet. He may have brought something along to brace himself with. Keep in mind, this kid actually had a backpack with him. And in the military, I know from personal experience that you're trained to use things, particularly if you're in a prone position, that can brace your position and that you can that can steady your sight picture. It wouldn't surprise me if the backpack that he had up there with him may have been used for that purpose.
Dan Murphy, as a former detective sergeant, you're looking at this from solving the crime. Mm-hmm. What is the first step from the moment you learn that Charlie Kirk has been shot? You don't know his condition. All you know is we have a man shot. What is the first thing you do when you start trying to solve the crime?
First, you have to preserve the scene. The crime scene is of paramount importance because that is going to live with you for the remainder of this case. What you grab, what you don't grab is vital. The second is witnesses, eyewitnesses, grabbing any and everybody that's on the scene that may have seen something. Today, in today's world, we want to see cell phone coverage, cameras. Everyone that was there who has a cell phone, has shot any footage, bring it in. It's all potential evidence. We want to look around at cameras, surveillance cameras that are part of the campus. We want to look at everything we can look at, who is parked in the parking lot. This is a tremendous job that needs to be done by a lot of people. But it's vital that those steps begin immediately.
That was Dan Murphy, former NYPD detective sergeant, now co-host of Gold Shield's podcast. Thanks to Dan for joining us. Now, Joe, you were on a special episode of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, and you pointed out a number of important things that you saw in some of the pictures that were being released by law enforcement.
Well, I see that he has ungloved hands, and it looks like in the other shot, it looks like he may be making an effort to grab hold of that rail. Guess what? How do we know that he didn't touch any of those surfaces along the way? Locard's principle, every contact leaves a trace. You cannot be this perfect, all right? So up there's going to be information that will tie him back, I think. Biological information, we already have evidence that there may, in fact, have been a palm print left behind. You had mentioned a footprint. And also, if the reports are true and we're hearing about this weapon that may have been recovered, this is going to be a specific tie back to him just based upon the process of purchasing one, serial number that's on here, any kind of add-ons that may be found on this weapon. I'm thinking like scopes, and oh boy, the ammunition. We've got, from what they are saying, we have a spent round that's still chambered because this weapon is a bolt action. That means you have to actuate the bolt itself, lift it up, pull it back. That ejects it. This is not a semi-automatic weapon. And then you force another round in. He never ejected the round, according to what FBI sources are saying. And there are still 3 other live rounds in the internal magazine of this weapon. And all of them are going to have little bits that are going to be offered up relative to connectivity back to this person potentially.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This Sunday, iHeartRadio brings you live to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. It's the ultimate pregame party, featuring an exclusive performance from Teddy Swims. Your front row experience will be on iHeartRadio stations across the country and the free iHeartRadio app this Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Then, after the concert, tune in to the Super Bowl 60 pregame show on NBC.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Did you know that parents rank teaching financial literacy as the toughest life skill? That's where Greenlight comes in, the debit card and money app made for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and track spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn how to earn, save, and spend responsibly, while parents have peace of mind, knowing smart money habits are being built with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
Yeah, this ain't Dallas, 1963. You're going to have multiple POVs here because, let's face it, like him or hate him, he's a media figure. He was magnetic, and people want those kinds of images. It's the world that we live in today. So, 180 degrees, probably 360 degrees in his orbit there were people videotaping. One of the things that I think that those that are going to be canvassing the area and talking to folks, they're going to want to collect those images, particularly those. I think one of the more intriguing images that you would want is something that is more to Charlie's rear, looking back to where the shooter is. I think that we've had one of those or two of those that have leaked out. Trust me, there's more. And, that's not even counting like CCTV. I work at a university. Guys, I got to tell you, I can literally step out of the door of my building here at Jack State onto the quad and immediately I've got cameras all around me that are observing me. If you're going to try to pull something like this off and try to remain anonymous, bad choice, because there is so much video evidence on a campus that they can pull it in seconds. Dollars to donuts, I guarantee you that the state police, probably the locals, and certainly the feds, they descended on the security area there that controls all of the cameras. They have that data, trust me, not to mention everything else that's peripheral to that. Parking lots, we've heard a lot about ring cams.
Oh, wow, yeah.
All of the cases that we cover with Nancy, it seems like in the last 2 years, ring cams come into play, don't they?
They're everywhere.
As well. And it's just that the area where this happened on a university campus is so tightly monitored, and a lot of it has to do with student safety. Bad choice, bad area to select if you're trying to remain anonymous.
Dan, I want to go back to you for a minute. As the investigation starts getting now, it doesn't stop after the arrest. This is like the beginning part of the investigation, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much work going on behind the scenes right now and has been going on since the initial event. Search warrants are being conducted at his residence, in his car, at many places. The actual owner of the weapon is probably no doubt sitting in the police station right now being interviewed as to how that weapon got into this guy's hands if he's not the owner. They are retracing steps. They are watching video footage, as Dr. Scott said before, not just of the cameras on the campus, but anything that might have been a trail that led him to the scene. They're reviewing his credit card and debit card statements. Where did he make purchases? What did he do recently? Where has he been? Looking at his text messages. There is so much work going on, and so many witnesses are being interviewed to make a very complete, very large package that is the investigation that will be the case that will be presented to a grand jury and ultimately to a jury. There's a lot of work, and it's all very important. And right now, I know there's a lot of boots on the ground in that area doing that work, and in other places too. This is a massive investigation.
Now, one thing that we knew from the very beginning was that we had a footprint, we had a palm print, and possibly a forearm print. I want to stick with the two that I'm actually familiar with, the footprint and the palm print. Joseph Scott Morgan, you actually were talking to me the other day about a palm print. We have a national database of palm prints, just like we do fingerprints, correct?
Yeah, we do. I mean, what will happen is on a fingerprint card, when somebody's rolled up and they're taken into jail, you'll get a series of prints, inked prints in the past. I'm assuming that they can digitize these as well, and traditionally you'll get an entirety of a print. It'll encompass this, but here's the rub. If this kid has never been hooked up on charges in the past, guess what? He's not going to be in that database. So that turns into kind of a dead end. I was really fascinated, I think, by them talking about a forearm. That's not something that is normally printed. No, and I think that probably goes to some surface that he's applying pressure to at that point. And we excrete sweat and we excrete oil every day. As a matter of fact, we don't have fingerprints on the tips of our fingers. We have friction ridges. We leave behind fingerprints. And so the same thing would apply with kind of, if your skin is greasy, you lay it on a surface like this. What I'm wondering about is this going to be a spot where you can harvest contact biological specimens from? I'm thinking probably it would be evidence rich in the sense that there would be sweat, there would be oil that's coming out of the body, and also is there any partial DNA where you've got trace evidence of DNA that's degraded, skin cells sloughing off. I think that's important. One other thing I'd love to bring you back to is going to be these cartridges. There's a group of people that we forget about in forensics many times, and that's question documents. They can get exemplars from this guy. relative to what is written on these shell casings, and they can give you an idea if this has origins from his actual hand. How, and were they engraved or were they written? Because we don't know at this point.
Well, we've heard the term engraved. And my first thought was, did they have a diamond tip thing putting it on there, or was that just an expression of using a Sharpie?
Yeah, exactly. So again, back to Dan's point, this investigation is so layered and so very intense that we're not going to have all of this data at one time. Don't expect it. As a matter of fact, I would probably, after this period of time, I would imagine we'll see a lessening of information that's being released, because they're trying to put together a packet at this point in time to bring this guy up on charges. And it's like playing poker, man. You're not going to show your hand. I know the public wants the information. You'll hear things from peripheries, but I would imagine that the authorities are probably going to shut it down pretty quickly relative to how much data is going to be coming out, because they're going to be putting together a case. This is where this begins at this point.
Right before this happened, he actually posted a video on X of him throwing out hats, Turning Point hats, and the crowd was going crazy. But it was set up so that there was one group of people that was up close, then there was like a break of people, like an aisleway, and then another group of people behind that. There is security all around, and he was under a tent where he was actually beginning to speak. And as I said, this is before he actually begins his actual speech. He's actually doing a quick Q&A. It's about 2 minutes in when the shot was fired. You saw the shot. You saw I saw his shirt puff out. That's what I saw in that video. Did you guys see the same thing, Joe?
Well, for me, my focus really wasn't on the shirt itself. It was literally watching his hands and seeing his response. He kind of listed to his left and fell out of the chair, and it was really quick. The movement of the shirt would not surprise me, because there's kind of a concussive element that comes along with a round striking many times. One of the things that really stood out to me is this drawing of the arms up with the clenching of the thumbs. Which, many times I think that anybody that watches NFL football or college football, you see these players that have concussions, that have neuro problems as a result of getting their cage rattled, that sort of thing. Again, we don't have definitive diagnostic evidence of this, but, you're just visualizing this. You kind of get a sense that something neurologically is going on here, and he's shot in the neck. I mean, let's face it. We don't know how extensive that is. From what we're hearing right now, estimates are that this shot took place at almost a range of approximating 200 yards away. So that means that someone would have had to have gone to the trouble of zeroing a weapon. I imagine this is a long arm, and probably scoped at a 200-yard range. And it was all witnesses are reporting that all they heard was a single shot that was fired. And the fact that it was the target area is such a small area, that gives you an idea of the precision.
Joe, you mentioned distance of fire and possibly using a long rifle, which we don't know yet. We just know this is what we're hearing. None of this is confirmed.
Yeah.
But 200 yards away with a long rifle, what kind of a rifle can shoot that far and that accurate?
Well, any military-grade weapon, hunting rifle, I think that people to want to be, if they wanted spot-on accuracy, would probably have a scoped weapon, long arm. Because if you think about an idea of someone firing actually a handheld weapon like a handgun, the range of fire on those is not as robust as a long arm. We talk a lot about the ballistic nature of rifled rounds, and pistols are rifled. However, that longer barrel facilitates that retention of energy as this round travels down range. You're also going to have what's called drop with the round. The further downrange it goes, the round begins, it's the nature of gravity, will pull that round down toward Earth. So you have to be able to adjust your fire at about 200 yards. You'll get somewhat of a drop. The idea that somebody using an iron sight from that range and being that exact, they would have to be one hell of a shot in order to do that. My suspicion is it might be a scoped weapon at that kind of range.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This Sunday, iHeartRadio brings you live to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. It's the ultimate pregame party, featuring an exclusive performance from Teddy Swims. Your front row experience will be on iHeartRadio stations across the country and the free iHeartRadio app this Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Then, after the concert, tune in to the Super Bowl 60 pregame show on NBC.
Did you know that parents rank teaching financial literacy as the toughest life skill? That's where Greenlight comes in, the debit card and money app made for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and track spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn how to earn, save, and spend responsibly, while parents have peace of mind, knowing smart money habits are being built with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
You don't just live in your home, you live in your neighborhood as well. So when you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Luckily, Homes.com has got you covered. Each listing features a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Everything you'd ever want to know about a neighborhood, including the number of homes for sale, transportation, local amenities, cultural attractions, unique qualities, and even things like median lot size and a noise score. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
22-year-old Tyler Robinson has been officially charged with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Utah County District Attorney Jeffrey Gray said his office had filed 7 counts against Robinson, including aggravated murder, obstruction of justice for disposing of evidence, and witness tampering. Robinson made an initial court appearance via video feed from jail yesterday. He spoke only once when asked to state his name. What follows is the court document that was filed that lays out the state's case against Tyler Robinson. State of Utah, plaintiff versus Tyler James Robinson, 894 West Cimarron Drive, Washington, Utah, 84780. Date of birth, 4/16/2003. The state of Utah, by and through the Utah County Attorney's Office, charges the defendant with the commission of the following offenses. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code, annotated, in that on September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice, conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty, or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole, or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. Victim targeting enhancement. In violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardon and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2. Felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-11-210 and 3C, in that on September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm, and the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement. In violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, and the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 3. Obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-306, in that on September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes criminal offense. C. Concealed or removed the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 4. Obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-306. In that on or about September 11, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense. C. Destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5. Tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-508. In that on or about September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Count 6. Tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-508. And that on or about September 11, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned the roommate. Count 7. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.10 and 76-3-203.14. In that on or about September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years old, with knowledge that a child was present and may have seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. Victim targeting enhancement. In violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of James Tyler Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Probable cause statement. Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above-listed offense, submitted the following evidence in support of the filing of this information. On September 10, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Counts 1 and 2. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his lover/roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not to talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these types of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital, where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is pending. The UVU surveillance investigation. At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, The camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. The discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of the campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of the campus, where they believed the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt-action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. Fired cartridge, no Tice's bulge, OWO. What's this? Second cartridge, hey fascist, catch. Third cartridge, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. Fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay. LMAO. The rifle ammunition rounds and towels were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police. On September 11, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a, quote, stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained, "There is too much evil, and the guy, Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate." They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who was a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of his clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. On September 10, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it," unquote. Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, quote, "What? Question mark. You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." The roommate writes, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, "I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "Nope. They grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully, they've moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. If it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The blanking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see, quote, notices bulge UWU, unquote, on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. IDK. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Robinson writes, "Delete this exchange." Robinson again writes, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me." Not answering. Robinson, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA." Robinson, "I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy or for sheriff. Robinson, you are all I worry about, love. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search of Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Count 1. Aggravated murder pertains to Robinson's shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk in a manner that exposed others in addition to Mr. Kirk to a great risk of death. Count 2. Felony discharge of a firearm pertains to Robinson's shooting toward Mr. Kirk, knowing that doing so would endanger those in the bullet's path. The shot caused serious bodily injury to Mr. Kirk, ultimately resulting in his death. Count 3. Obstructing justice pertains to Robinson's removal and hiding of the rifle he used to shoot Mr. Kirk. Count 4. Obstructing justice pertains to Robinson's removal and hiding of the clothing he wore when he shot Mr. Kirk. Count 5. Witness tampering pertains to Robinson's statements to his roommate, telling his roommate to delete their text exchange that followed the shooting. Count 6. Witness tampering pertains to Robinson's statement to his roommate, telling the roommate, quote, if any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent, unquote. Count 7. Violence offense committed in the presence of a child pertains to Robinson's shooting of Mr. Kirk in the presence of children under the age of 14 who were visible at the event. Based upon evidence received from Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, I have reason to believe the defendant committed the offenses charged herein. Authorized for presentment and filing on September 16, 2025, Utah County Attorney's Office, sworn to by Jeffrey S. Gray, Utah County Attorney.
I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
This Sunday, iHeartRadio brings you live to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60 tailgate concert, presented by NetApp. It's the ultimate pregame party, featuring an exclusive performance from Teddy Swims. Your front row experience will be on iHeartRadio stations across the country and the free iHeartRadio app this Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Then, after the concert, tune in to the Super Bowl 60 pregame show on NBC.
You don't just live in your home, you live in your neighborhood as well. So when you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Luckily, Homes.com has got you covered. Each listing features a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Everything you'd ever want to know about a neighborhood, including the number of homes for sale, transportation, local amenities, cultural attractions, unique qualities, and even things like median lot size and a noise score. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
At CVS, it matters that we're not just in your community, but that we're part of it. It matters that we're here for you when you need us, day or night. And we want everyone to feel welcomed and rewarded. It matters that CVS is here to fill your prescriptions and here to fill your craving for a tasty and, healthy snack. At CVS, we're proud to serve your community because we believe where you get your medicine matters. So visit us at cvs.com or just come by our store. We can't wait to meet you. Store hours vary by location.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.